Show. Today I will be interviewing Elie Wiesel and asking him about his time in the concentration camps. Ask away. Could you tell us about when you were occupied by the Nazis? I grew up in a town in Transylvania called Szeged. My father was a very cold man, or so that is how he seemed to us. I knew a man named Moise, but he was a beadle who studied the Kabbalah, a mystic form of Jewish study. I wanted my father to get a teacher to teach me Kabbalah, but he said one must be 30 before you could study mysticism. So I would have to wait until I was 30, so I would have Moise the Beadle tell me and teach me about it whenever I saw him. At one point, before we were occupied by the Nazis, all of the foreign Jews were expelled from Szeged. Moise, one day he came back into Szeged and said that babies were thrown up into the air and used as target practice and Jews were slaughtered. He said that he escaped and came back to Szeged. We, including me, all thought he had gone mad. Later we wished we had believed him. Maybe then we could have escaped the horrors of the concentration camps. When we first heard of Hitler's army, we thought that the Russians would defeat them before they reached us. I asked my father to immigrate us out of the country, but he said he was too old to start a new life. It started when Nazi soldiers stayed in our homes. It didn't seem so bad at first. They didn't bother us too much, and they didn't have hatred for us. Eventually, they sent us to the ghettos, and then we were taken away to the concentration camps. Wow, that is a very sad story. Could you tell us about your time in the camp? We were sent to the concentration camps in cattle cars. We were in there for very long, and a woman I used to know had visions of the fire coming from the chimney when we first arrived at Auschwitz. We all thought she was mad until we finally arrived. The conditions were terrible. There was no water or food and nowhere to go to the bathroom. When we arrived, I said I was 18 because I didn't want to seem young and weak. At first, we thought we were going to be killed because we were headed straight for the crematorium, but we turned away at the last minute and went to our barracks. In the camp, all we ate was bread and soup. We were also forced to do manual labor. I turned away from God later, and I hated him for our situation. I even refused to pray and fast. The guards were terrible, and one in particular beat my father, and I was angry at my father for not being able to march straight. I tried to teach him to march when we were in the barracks, but it didn't work. Eventually, my father died after we had been transported from the camps. Last thing, can you tell us about your thoughts and feelings after you were released from the camps? I remember I didn't feel hatred or want revenge against the Nazis. I just wanted to rest in my hotel. Very compelling story from Elie Wiesel. Stay classy, San Diego.